We're live.
Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. If you guys are new here, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 3K. Big up our sponsors, LBI20 to get 20% off and free shipping on manscaped.com. Go check out Fanatics as well, official partners of La Liga and Real Madrid. The link is in the description below. Also, go show some love to Talksport as well. Everything on LBR, the pod, fan cams, and watch-alongs, you name it, everything is powered by the Talksport Fan Network, powered by the fans. Right then, let's get to business, boys. We weren't, really dreaming about, having a post-match with a positive outlook, going off how the game was uh, kind of drifting by, especially, in the first half where it was wave after wave of Atleti attacks and basically us having possession for possession's sake. But like I usually do, I remember, the City game last year, I look to the heavens and, the heavens usually answer when it comes to my club. And yeah, man, we needed a lifeline. We got, two lifelines in the end to actually make our way through. Big up my esteemed panel, Farooq, usual suspects, Sahel, and of course we have some esteemed company in the room tonight. Said, bro, talk to us. You were in the stadium. You were actually, you know, uh, front row to watch this unfold. Try to kind of encapsulate what was the emotion like in the like 122 minutes.
I think there is a saying in Madrid which is very famous: God is a Madridista. And I think today it proved why do they say it. I think the whole game we didn't play. I don't think we played. There were rarely we had chances, clear-cut
Yeah,
chances as that I remember that could have led to a goal, and all we needed was a draw. But I think the whole history, the heritage, that we talk about, you could feel it in the stadium. The moment I think the second half of extra time is where we started attacking more. There was a lot of
mm.
intensity, and I remember
It
David
became
Ancelotti.
open-ended at extra time, actually.
Exactly,
Yeah,
because Atleti, because they moved Marcos Llorente in midfield, who was a tired right back. So they were just playing long balls. And there was this one moment I remember the second half of the extra time, as we got a corner. And David Ancelotti was just pushing Raul Asensio from the bench. He came out to the stadium shouting at him, go, go, go inside the box. So Fran Garcia stayed and Asensio was inside. That's where the need for the goal came in. But overall, it was just, I think, the heritage, the magic in the Champions League, whatever you want to call it, luck favoring us, Julian Alvarez double tapping the ball. I don't think I've ever seen something like that in a penalty shootout. I was wondering what has happened. Like, I was literally
mm,
wondering. And there's a sense of fear, like in the Atleti fans. I remember when Kylian Mbappe went to take the penalty. And
yeah.
then the second guy was Jude Bellingham, and the third was Fede Valverde. And the fans are like, it's fucking stars after stars after stars. Like, and there was a sense of fear when it came down to penalties because in a way it's a lottery. It is a lottery, but
Yeah.
overall, just move on. Arsenal next is what I can say. There was nothing positive about the game today apart from Thibaut Courtois, in my opinion.
Mm.
And we just move on. Is Arsenal next? Big game, and if
There's a
we
lot
play
of
like
positives, like I would argue that there were a lot of positives, especially considering the defensive aspect of the game. There were some really strong performances that were needed, and when called upon, guys like Asensio, we'll get to them. Asensio, Fede Valverde, Kamavinga, who came on, I thought was excellent. I think he didn't, put a foot wrong. There were many performances that necessarily not probably, in the attacking sense. Most of our attackers were, outnumbered, left a lot to be desired, especially when we'll get to all that. But Sahil, man, how do you kind of, how do you, let this sink in? Because when we discussed the game beforehand, Athletic you know, could probably be the worst matchup we could, get in the Champions League, and we got it. And we knew how it was going to pan out, especially in the second leg with the one goal lead. Extra time was, probably the bet with the most odds, if you can
Yeah.
call it that, because we have been here before, especially away at Atleti. They were always going to, give us a proper dogfight of a game. But talk to me, man. Do you agree with what Sid saw?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree as well. We we knew at the end of the first leg that the 1 goal deficit was never going to be enough to, and that they were always going to have a chance to break even at the Metropolitano. Atleti are a strong side, stronger than I've seen in recent years, because now they've actually got capability to keep the ball, to run at opponents. They're not just a one-sided, one-trick pony or a one-sided team. So that's where I think in the end they had the impetus to actually go and make the difference at home. And that's what we were afraid of as well, because the heritage, like Sid mentioned, and our standing in the Champions League, our history, that was our only saving grace in the end. The fact that we always knew we were going to find a way in the end, because those players, they did not play like they wanted to finish the game in 90 minutes out there, right?
Mm.
The game was always headed for extra time, because our team just didn't look like scoring, and they, for most part of that second half, were not interested. Uh, so I don't know what went through their heads. I think Atletico, with the firepower that they have now, with especially with
Yeah.
Julian Alvarez, Griezmann in this form, Solot up front, they could have gone for it, and they could have had us by the
Like
scruff easily.
Yeah, I'll be very honest. When Sorloth and Korea came in, I think that is me. I think that's the couple of late subs that have intimidated me the most.
Korea
In my
especially.
in my life. Watching NL Derby. I mean, it was I think destined to go Atleti's way. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll be very honest. Some of the 50-50 challenges which we had no right to win, some of
Yeah.
the counterattacks we had no right to stop, some of the transitions we had no right to defend well, we somehow managed to do it, man. Like guys like Fran Garcia, bro. Like I was shitted
Yeah.
myself. I'll be honest, when Mendy held onto his right hamstring or something, after he tried to kind of reach out for the ball, and when he tried to play it back to Thibaut. But it just puts everything into perspective. The guys who are watching this game, at what, like 12 people are on the globe, Arsenal fans, tuning in, who are they going to actually get? They all knew, the outcome is going to only tip one way when you see so many factors that should be realistically favoring Atleti, completely, flip on its head and pave its way towards us. Farouk, man, like you heard Sahil talk, you heard Sid talk. There was, like so many people in the group chat as well mentioning that we had no right to deserve to, a quarterfinal berth, but this is us in the Champions League, Farouk. We have been doing this for 4 years. I mean, this at this point should not be a surprise.
Definitely agree with that. Like if there is any game that validates or rather proves that Real Madrid has a special aura to it, that has a special magic behind them in the UCL, I think this is just one of those games, because this is a game whereby you just look at it and be like, how do you even win this game? Apparently, there's a two-touch. Like, how do you even know that there's a two-touch? You understand? Like with the penalty, and that literally just kills all the momentum that Atletico Madrid has. This is the penalty that Vinicius Junior misses a penalty for the first time for Real Madrid. Like, this is the most clutch player we have in this team. This is the player that has scored in finals and semifinals and round of 16s and quarterfinals. Like, how do you even So like that's just it. Like, this is a game that I think it's a game that you just have to forget the performance and just take the fact that you're true.
Yeah.
Because if you have to start thinking about like this person played like this person played like this, I think we're gonna start from everyone. I think bar Thibaut, maybe Raul Asensio, because already like I'm not expecting too much from him. But other than that, like everyone from Carlo Ancelotti to Vinicius to Kylian Mbappe were absolute garbage in this game. You understand? And this is like at this level, for a team at this level, like you don't come on, like we're playing a game and it's in the 90th minute before you see Bellingham actually play football. Bro, are you telling me that Jude is only good against Atletico when they're gassed? It means that he cannot perform in 90 minutes. It's 4 games on the trot. 4 games on the trot. Jude has been unable to perform against this guy. It was after the 98th minute was over, then his stamina shone through. So it means that.
Okay, but wouldn't you actually commend Atleti for how disciplined they were?
Commend Atleti for how disciplined they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my problem. My problem is not about Atletico Madrid. It's about us, right? If we cannot break them down, then that's our problem, not Atleti's problem, right? I mean, the point is, if I play the best defense in the world, like I also have the best attackers in the world, and Atleti is not the best defense in the world. We've seen this. Barcelona literally played a 4-4 against them just recently. You understand? We've seen this. Like, yeah, Atletico Madrid. Of course, we know what Atletico Madrid are. But what we have to also look from our perspective is that like there is nothing. I think we created 3 chances all game in how many minutes? 100
in open play, yeah.
Atletico Madrid, like for how disciplined they were, I think they had like 17 shots. For how disciplined they were, they had like 10 chances created, whatever. So like the question now becomes, like, are they all that better than us? Like if they're really good defensively, then offensively they shouldn't be that good. We're neither good defensively nor offensively. You understand? So this is the point that you come to take in there. That's why I just said like for today, it's just about the magic of Real Madrid in the Champions League. It's nothing about the performance of the players, the coaches, or what is not. Today we win, we go to the next round, and we hope that the international break that comes at least gives our players, a bit of chance to, regain some energy back. Because the problem with playing Atletico Madrid is that win or lose, you have to leave everything on the pitch. They will suck the soul out of your body. You understand? As we saw today, so and yeah. I mean, honestly,
Sid was going to say something when Farooq was speaking. Go on, Sid.
I was saying that the fact that there are games against, say, I would say so-called big teams. I would include Atleti in that because they play in the Champions League consistently.
They are a big team. They spent 80 million on Alvarez.
100. Whatever. We like the fact that we struggle so much when we have possession against a big team. That's a big black. I am so much pro Carlo in, but that is the thought I had. Like, why are we struggling? We have the ball. We are attacking in their box. Like, and the substitutions, man. Like Rodrigo out of the front 3 was the one who was working the most. I would give it to Kylian Mbappe. He tried, and there was this one moment in this. Second half, there was a tackle where he literally stopped the counter by tackling around the half line. Vinny had a stinker, and then I saw some tweets, that he was trying to put the jersey on the Metropolitano, showing that we have conquered you. White is the city or whatever. You missed a penalty, almost cost a knockout tie. And if you want to be compared to Cristiano Ronaldo or the likes of Benzema or the big players that we have seen, obviously you have scored in finals and semi-finals, but the attitude. Ronaldo, I remember when we lost against Schalke in 2015, we won the first leg, but we lost at the Bernabeu. He was caught saying on camera to Marcelo, "This is an embarrassment." The attitude has to whatever. Like Kylian Mbappe, when he put in that tackle, and I looked at, and the Atleti fans are like, "Okay, this guy is here to stay." Because these are things you have to put in to win. Ronaldo used to defend in big games. Clasico, he would come back. Champions League games, he would come by the back. And these are things you have to do. And Vinny, after that penalty, and he's the first penalty taker, it's now Carlo Ancelotti's priority penalty taker.
He has scored the last 3 out of the 3. I think his record in recent games has been great.
But I think the fact that his body language was wrong, I didn't feel he was confident enough, and his record against Atleti is not the best, especially at the Metropolitano. But the fact that we struggle so much when we have the ball is a problem, man. Like Carlo Ancelotti, I know, how much could you, use the wingers, and inshallah would, if that works, if you're thriving the individual qualities of the players we have, who are great players,
We'll actually get to that, but we were talking about Winnie. I would like to make this point where, Jude Bellingham gives a piece of his mind, where Winnie is kind of, dazing on the ball and a bit slow to kind of react. So that just summed it up. If a 24-year-old requires a 20-year-old to actually tell you to up your game in a knockout tie, not just against any side, but against Atleti away at the Metropolitano, I mean, that has to be a huge question mark on your credibility or on your motivation as a player. You're wearing the number 7 shirt, right?
They check the total number of games that Vini and Jude has played. More or less, it's the same. Age doesn't matter. Jude started playing when he was 17. Vini has played after Madrid. Age doesn't matter in this context. The point is just that.
That's a mentality.
Different plots. That's just the thing. It's not about age in this situation. It's just the fact that for Jude, it means a lot. It matters a lot, you understand? But for Vini, it's about what we've always said, Vini is a phenomenal player, but the only thing holding him back is himself and his personality. This is just the issue we have. And as Sid rightly pointed out, I actually saw what he was saying. He dropped the jacket on the floor at the Metropolitano, pointing to the fans this is Real Madrid, something like that. Bro, this is one of the worst performances we have seen as a Real Madrid fan, I don't know, for the past how many years. And you're dropping a jersey on the floor after you won.
Wait. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Second leg is at Madrid against Arsenal,
Yep.
Yep.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah,
Santiago
we have one
Bernabeu.
advantage. We have
but
one
it
advantage.
looks like it's confirmed. Like Madrid Extra just tweeted it out. So I was
Yeah,
thinking the
it's been
first
known.
leg is going to be at home.
It's been known since the
No, it
draw, man.
doesn't.
It's been known since the draws. Like the
It's
winner
been
of
known.
this
That's
game.
what I was trying to tell Sid yesterday on call, because I think they
No.
drew out the bracket in such a way that the
Yeah.
league positioning doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly.
Oh, so I got my mistake. My bad.
So
So,
first
yeah.
leg is in London. Great.
Yeah, great.
Vamos. My God,
I
feel
already
so
got
relieved.
I got so many messages from my friends in London. It's like, "Are you traveling? Are you traveling?" And I was like, "Guys, do you just realize that Atletico Madrid is in the city of Madrid? So it's like a half an hour journey, not like I have to go to the
Yeah,
embassy, apply for a visa, and then
right,
go kind
right.
of a journey."
But yeah,
But
coming back
if
to
we play
winning,
like this,
yeah,
Arsenal.
yeah, we'll get to Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal is Arsenal, right? Like they're gonna basically be extra motivated, because this is a tie that hasn't been, around their kind of, domain for a while. But this is going to really pump them up. But we have to be ready. But coming back to Vinny, Sahil, I mean, Farooq made some great points. Sid made some great points, right?
Yeah.
But time and time again, when the occasion calls for it, I've seen Vinicius step up, Vinicius deliver, Vinicius carry the team on his shoulders on various occasions, where other players, they might have the determination, but Vinny's quality is always telling. But yeah, like, you can slate him for tonight's, some of his shortcomings, but there is a reason why I think the coaching staff, trusts him so much. I mean, I saw I think, was it Ayush in the group chat, who was, kind of unhappy with why Carlo kept him on. But isn't that expected? Rodrigo is never going to be favored in a toss up between Vinny and himself.
Yeah, and which is precisely what I was questioning. Like,
Mm.
why wouldn't you leave Rodrigo on? Because in leaving Vinny on, you're basically saying, okay, he's missed a penalty, but I can see this game going to the shootout, so I need him to take my first or second pen. So I'm like, okay. So then you leave him on for the entire 120 minutes, but then you don't end up doing that either. You take him off for Endrick, which is saying he's missed a pen, and now I don't think he's in the right state of mind to take another pen, which is sort of contradictory, because in my opinion, Rodrigo is a guaranteed pen. Like, he's gonna score for you. All right.
Yeah.
And Vinny
Right.
usually is as well, but tonight was a one-off. Tonight was an exception, and he missed one, and that's okay. But then that's the manager's call. Would you want to leave him on for the shootout or not? And I just
mean,
think
the shot technique, though, where he leans back, it's almost like he wants to perfect it. Like, yeah, at that moment in time, so many things were going through my mind. I was just hoping he would just place it. This was unwarranted. I mean, he himself couldn't believe that miss. I mean,
exactly.
Like, if we actually went on to, get knocked out because of him, it would have been a bad look.
And that would have been on his head. Right.
Yeah. As of late, apart from the good solo goal against, Rayo, he has been, a bit hot and cold, which is unlike him. Come to this part of the season, usually Vinicius is the go-to man. I don't know if it's Mbappe, eating up a bit of the limelight, but we have to trust him. I'm pretty sure he's going to decide the Arsenal tie, because this is going to get him motivated. But stuff like what Sid and Farooq was mentioning, him basically kind of taunting the Atleti faithful. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't warrant it. I mean, if you do the Cristiano score a hat-trick, I don't think Cristiano even went that far, but there is history between, Vinicius and, the Roji Blancos.
Exactly.
I mean, the racist remarks and whatnot. It is warranted to an extent, but you have to back that up with the performance. But I think we should completely move on from Vinny. This wasn't his night. I mean, I felt sorry for him, but at the same time, I felt so enraged that, like, he should have had a bit more conviction in his pen. But to where I think Sid was pointing out earlier, or was it Farooq? The fact that I think both of you guys were mentioning in possession, that we lacked so many
ideas.
We lack ideas a lot. We lack options completely. I would argue, like, this might be me again, trying to kind of get into Carlos' corner, but I do think Atleti basically dealt with us very well. They all know that we lack a focal point. I mean, the focal point that we do have, we rely on Vini and Mbappe interchanging, Rodrigo, coming in centrally. If you are a well-drilled block, like they had, the likes of Longley, the likes of Rodrigo de Paul tracking back, the likes of Jimenez having an absolute blinder of a performance. If you remember that transition where he stopped, Mbappe running through with his butt cheek, I mean, that is a 10 on 10, I believe, from Jimenez. When you have a performance like that on a defensive level, I don't think we'll see a Madrid side that dominated City the other week at home. Like, I don't think it's going to happen. I do think we need a more traditional setup for the performance, or the chances to reflect what we expect of this 11. Farouk, like, don't you think maybe a better a striker who actually knows to play the role? It's not like Mbappe, who is, always second guessing. Should he drop deep? Should he come short to, feed someone else, or, run in behind? Because the amount of times there were chances to actually make a stride in behind, all of these men, Rodrigo, Vinicius, Mbappe, they are caught in two minds. And the midfield didn't have Modric, too passive. I mean, Tchouaméni decent defensively, but at the same time, they were, averse to taking risks.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the point you're making about like a center, focal point, a center forward, and all that. But again, man, like I just feel like it's just, and overall, it's just a disappointment from the team, because I feel like when you play with three attackers in Vinicius, Kylian Mbappe, and Rodrigo, there's a lot of talent in there, and there's a lot of know-how in there to be able to deal with the situations. But the situation now becomes this: when there is no supply from the midfield, you have this amount of possession, but you didn't create any. I don't think how many passes did we play today, like actually behind the defense. Okay, I know there wasn't a lot of space,
very few,
but there were certain instances where actually these players pushed up a lot. Where we could see Gallagher pushing up a lot with a lot of space, for Rodrigo to exploit. Similarly with Simeone and also with Vinicius Junior. But there was no pass there, Sunaid. So the question now becomes is if and only if we can only play with a system that has a traditional system of there's a traditional number 9, there's a traditional winger, there's a traditional midfielder, then there is no point in having a coach then. Just let the players do their job and move on. We saw yesterday, not just yesterday, even last week, how Paris Saint-Germain, without no striker, the players they had with Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, and Dembele. And we saw how they ran circles.
3 wingers, yes. Yeah.
I believe the best defense in Europe. Van Dijk was looking lost. Was looking lost. 3 wingers.
But we have had games of a similar ilk. I mean, it doesn't happen as frequently. Maybe like a PSG side that is tactically very sound, but we do stretch oppositions, on certain nights. We saw that against City. I mean, City didn't have a clue, but we did stretch
the positions, of course. What City? I mean, yeah, of course, City is always going to be City, but let's not kid ourselves. This is the worst City we've seen in the last 5 years. Not what is 5 years? The last 9, 10 years. This is the worst City we've seen in the last 9, 10 years. So we come back to the situation now. If these 3 attackers that I just mentioned can go to Anfield and do a job, why can't our front 3 do a job?
Sid had the 8K view, Sid. Like I know the frustration,
answer, which is going to be against what you and Sid. The police today again showed that Carlo Ancelotti is not the person to lead this profile of players. Either you get a number 9, Harry Kane, I don't know, Haaland, then we can continue with Carlo Ancelotti. But otherwise, we're going to keep playing this kind of games where we rely on, as you said, God, or the magic of the Champions League, or individual brilliance from just a certain player. But the point is, again, this game shows that Carlo Ancelotti is not the right person. You use the word tactics. He's not the right person to drill this set of players to be able to unfold. I do believe that these 3 players can perform miracles if put in the right setup. But unfortunately, I do not think Carlo is that person.
Like, when you ask me, what did I see, and initially, the first thing I said, what we saw Carlo basically doing is hoping that the individual brilliance of Mbappe, Vini, and Rodrigo would get something out of it. Right. So now, when that was not working against a very disciplined Atleti, like Suned mentioned, where they were not letting us space, they were tackling these individual, dribbles that everybody was trying. All the front three were trying. And then what are the other options you have with the basic knowledge of football that I have? You try a 1-2 with a player, try to move in. Rarely you saw
They
1-2
defended
between.
1v1 so well, Sid. I mean, 1v1,
Yeah, so
nobody had anything to.
exactly. So now the 1v1 idea is out. The other thing, what you do is basically you try to get in a 1-2 and try to run away from the defense to get a quick pass in, find some space, create some space. That was not working.
Or you take
Then the
long
third,
shots.
yeah, or you take long shot. They didn't try that. Or you put ball in the box to
Remember
cross.
Chouameni's long shot? Carlo was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah.
So yeah.
So there is no risk and there was nobody. The thing is because of the front three that we have, right? So when they don't combine, the backup comes down to say we have Fede and Furlan Mendy who if get the ball wide, they have to put the ball in for somebody to find basically old school English football. You cross the ball, hope for a header. And wow. That, yeah, sorry. That was a tire puncture that just happened. Wow, sorry. So you basically cross the ball and hoping for a forward to find, be there to head the ball. Now, the front three, nobody is going to do it. The highest probability is Kylian Mbappe to do it. He was not having
Bellingham.
that game. And then is Jude Bellingham. So then four of them, if they are then, the ball supply is also not coming in. How much could
Yeah.
that is the criticism. And man, like we get a Harry Kane, we get a Haaland also. You have to drop then two of them or to make two of them play out of position so that we accommodate that person. So that becomes another for a style of play. Do we sacrifice the result that we got? And I think if we lost today, we would have been like like probably saying, okay, if we played well and lost, we would have saying, oh, they should have just played the way we played. But that is how sometimes
Yeah.
football is working. And now this is how football has been working for the club for like decades now.
Yeah.
Like, and I
And
remember I had this conversation with, sorry, I had this conversation with Farooq when we were doing a preview, and I remember he told me that the biggest criticism Carlo Ancelotti still gets is not being able to inst- install a style of play which is fluid enough for all the players. It's fluid for individuals, but not fluid as a team. And that is something what we expect from, say, like what companies Bayern is playing, or Pep's Barcelona to City, or even what we saw with Luis Enrique, PSG, man. Yesterday, they were fantastic. And this is why I feel the criticism, extreme criticism comes in, because we don't see it sometimes even against Rayo. To see
Yeah.
it against Atleti is a big expectations. And I am somebody who's very pro Carlo. Everybody knows how much I love him. I'm literally looking at a scarf where it says Don Carlo right now. But it is gonna be costly, man. And I think I don't feel scared against Arsenal, but if it's PSG, Bayern, even Inter Milan,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
teams who can score goals.
Mm.
Atleti, they score like if I was Atleti, I wouldn't have stopped attacking after the first 5 minutes. They just stopped
What,
after
what
the.
what was that all about, right? Like they were completely okay with us having possession, us dictating where the game went. That's always been where Atleti basically, dug their own hole. I mean, Sahil, like you have been watching Atleti for
Yeah,
good long while, right? This is a reputation that they can't quite shake. I mean, it's probably the whole narrative of Real Madrid in the Champions League. If you watch Simeone's reaction as well when they took the lead, like in what, like 30 seconds. I mean, he was
30
basically
seconds.
saying, calma, calma, like we have a long way to go. But I thought Atleti would then go and push on, but it just never happened.
Exactly. And like I mentioned before, they could have easily done that with the kind of talent they have on the pitch. I mean, how many big name signings have we seen at Atletico in these past transfer windows, especially?
Yeah.
And then going back to the point that Sid mentioned, like you don't always have to dominate a game to win it. Like I'm just going through the past 4 or 5 meetings between us and Atleti. Today we let in 17 shots, with Atleti having just 38% possession. The previous one before this, the first leg, obviously, where Atleti had slightly more possession, that was the one game we won. Before that, there was 3 1-all draws. We dominated 2 at the Bernabeu, did not get the result. The one that was at the Metropolitano, also we
4-2.
dominated. Yeah.
Or to Copa del Rey, yeah.
That was way before that. But the one that Correa scored in last minute.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
this
Beginning
season,
of the
this
season.
season, La Liga. Yeah.
Yeah. The first one of the season, and that one was more or less even. But we ended up not getting a good result there either. So the one game that we did get a good result, we weren't the better team. And all the others, despite dominating or despite being even, at least we couldn't get results. So I think Sid makes a very good point. Atleti can be very hard to beat, even when you exaggerate and play very fluid football. We've seen teams in the past struggle. I think Man City last season, that's the way it was at the Metropolitano when Man City came. So I think we've done all right in the end. We can be happy that we at least had an edge in the first leg, and then we could carry that over. It was not going to be nearly enough, but in the end it was. But yes, Atleti were always going to give us a run for our money because they've leveled up, man. Like they've really shortened the gap between us and them in these past few years. They're no longer just the noisy neighbors, right? Few years ago, we used to basically disregard them as just being the noisy neighbors, and not just in La Liga, especially in the Champions League, we've historically always had the edge over them. But since then, they've lost Griezmann, they've got him back. They've made the new stadium renovations and all of that. Simeone is now the highest paid manager in the world. They've made multiple big signings. Julian Alvarez,
I know.
Sorloth, these guys coming through. Giuliano Simeone, who by the way today was excellent. So you've got to give credit where Atleti, where credit is due for Atleti. Even tonight, the way they built up the atmosphere in the Metropolitano, we always knew it was going to be a tough. We don't always find it tough going away day to many stadiums, with the exception of maybe Anfield and places like that.
But today, I was always of the opinion that these guys, I don't think they're quite aware about what they're getting into. I mean, the first goal happened inside 27 seconds. I mean, Mendy, caught sleepwalking. I mean, Mendy had, one of those games that, why people hate him for, absolutely on the back foot. He did make a few crucial tackles here and there, but, overall, we expect a lot more from Mendy. Fran came in, he put up, a better fight, I think, towards the end. But Farooq, going back to, the conversation we were having, when I did stress that, I mean, you earlier mentioned that, apart from maybe Thibaut and Fede, everybody had, a pretty much, shit game, right? In general. But like, I would kind of put forward my case where I would say, yeah, we bemoan Carlos, passive nature and basically us not really, taking the attack to, our positions, especially, in a time like this where it's, do or die. Don't you think, some of those individual performances, like you mentioned, like Asensio, your Camavingas who came on, Jude Bellingham, despite like him lacking, the incisiveness that we associate with him, still defended for his life.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, you can continue to credit this to a certain point. And just back to some of the points that both Sile and Sid had made, okay, you look at the games that we played against Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid are absolutely a kryptonite to Carlo Ancelotti. Absolutely. At least in the second stint. They are an absolute kryptonite to Carlo Ancelotti. So the question now becomes this. It's 3 years. Like, okay, now it's going to be the 4th season, and we still cannot figure out a way to play against these guys. I understand, like, they've been, they've been certain good performances here and there. But come on, saying, like, I wouldn't come here and sit here and beat my chest and be like, oh, yeah, like, that was a good, sub for bringing on
do you see me shirtless,
basis,
dancing topless? I ain't over the moon, but we have to actually praise some of those characters out there tonight, because without them, I think we're surely going out.
I mean, we can praise the characters, but what I will just not do, right, at least for today, is that I would not come in and be like, oh, give some credit to Carlo Ancelotti. Definitely not. I will praise the character
of the players, individual performances.
Exactly. We saw a bit of improvement in the game when Camavinga came on, the ball winning at the retention.
Carlo made the sub, he decided that this is the right moment to,
Yeah, I mean, he decided this was the right moment, but the game still went to pens, no?
It did. Yeah, yeah.
Unless if it was Carlo that made him have the 2 touches with the pen. So I mean, maybe he has that abilities. I don't know, man. Maybe there might be.
Ibro does the trick. I mean, by now you should be well aware, bro. There is something intangible going on when it comes to Carlo.
I just stand on these fans. For me personally, I understand like okay, Carlo gives the players the ability to perform in moments of individual brilliance. Yeah, but the point is that if these players are not up to the task, we just do not have any other way. This is just the problem. You have to be able to rely. You have to be able to rely on some know-how, which is that okay, this player is playing this system. Then, as I think Sid was actually pointing out, a lot of scenarios. Okay, if you play the 1v1, it's not working because why? Whenever you go past the first guy, there is a secondary defender there. Then what happens? You play the 1-2, you bring players out of position. None of this is happening. Every time it's Vinicius against 3 defenders. He goes past the first one even before he moves. Already the second defender is there to get the ball away. Same thing for Rodrigo. Same thing for Mbappe. Same thing to some extent from Bellingham. You understand? There is no alternative because why? These players do not even practice, how to play as a team. They only practice how to play as individuals. They are the very best individuals we have in the world. Of course, yeah, that's true. We have to appreciate that. Okay, like Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone, very difficult team. I agree with that. But the point is that you can't say because Simeone's team is very good, that means that we should not perform well. If that's the case, then we might just sit at home and just be like, yeah, there is no point in coming here. We have the 4 best. I mean, if you're going to rank the top 10 players in the world right now, the 4 of them play in our front line. 4 of them play in our front line.
And the 5th is the right back.
Thank you very much. And the 5th is the right back.
Yeah.
You understand? So, and we can.
6th is the goalkeeper. We have to,
The 7th is the centre back. Okay, go on. We can keep going.
No. So to be honest, I agree with it. 6 of the top 10, maybe 15 players are Real Madrid players. Thibaut is the best goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah, man. Man, I'll tell you what I experienced today. Like, I'm watching the game. Obviously, I was in the home end, so I'm between Atleti supporters, and I could hear them, talk and say, "How much can I cuss? Whatever I can say." So they were like, he is the son of a bitch, but he is the best in the world, Thibaut Courtois. Like them saying it, Atleti would never acknowledge slightest of what Real Madrid does. But like the fact that fans in a group saying it is like, whatever we might throw at him, he's just gonna save it. And we should be lucky to have what we saw from Thibaut Courtois today was also great. Like obviously, he saved a penalty, and in between games, sometimes his positioning was so well that he didn't have to make a save, and there were times he did make a. But he's so good at what he does, and there's such a sense of calmness, when the ball is coming in around his 6-yard box, and you're like, yeah, it's Courtois. And it's not me as a Real Madrid fan saying it. It's more like the Atleti fans are also like, yeah, it's Courtois. It's a huge flex that you have. Like we saw literally last week, we saw Alisson do what a goalkeeper can do. Yesterday we saw Donnarumma do what a goalkeeper can do. Thibaut Courtois does it day in, day out. Like he won us a Champions League final. There is a meme I remember where when Alisson saved so many and then Liverpool scored at the end. And a Liverpool fan account had posted, "Now I know what Real Madrid felt like in Paris."
Yeah.
And I was like, to be honest, we were like genuinely any other goalkeeper. I think we things could have gone differently for us today. Like I would genuinely, we don't highlight this enough. The fact that we have Thibaut Courtois, and I think just because I feel he's not Spanish because we have hired Canizares and then we had Iker Casillas. So and
we
then
had Boyle,
and then he didn't get along with Zidane and all. So there was like and he played for Atleti. So there's a lot of things where you could have second thoughts and appreciate him. But man, he's the best goalkeeper in the world, hands down. And like he today also he showed it. I was just like, when things are going wrong, when like Farooq mentioned, we don't have a plan B, C, D. Plan B, C, D is Thibaut Courtois, Thibaut Courtois, Thibaut Courtois. That
Yeah.
is literally like Carlo
Also,
Ancelotti.
I would argue D plan D was Kamavinga. Sahid, when he came on, he didn't really have any right to have a 10 on 10 on a night like this, because the pressure was on Kamavinga, right? Chouameni was slowly getting back, among the faithful, and like he was slowly but steadily, raking up that starting berth, surely. Right, but Kamavinga was always deemed, especially this season, at least for me, was deemed that guy who was very erratic, who is prone to giving away some catastrophic fouls, and inside the area. We saw that in the Clasico as well. um Carlo was, mentioning, he was actually being very honest regarding Kamavinga at the post match. He was mentioning his level was low lately, but he's back now, and he chose the toughest game to do it. I thought Kamavinga, when he went into a 50-50 in the first couple of minutes of his introduction, I was like, yeah, what has he gotten himself into? Because with Chouameni, although he wasn't exactly spectacular, I thought Chouameni's positioning and Chouameni's awareness, I think, was very key, from stopping Atleti attacks early on. And Kamavinga coming on, I wasn't sure. I was like, man, this atmosphere isn't necessarily an optimal place for him to actually strut his stride. But he proved me wrong. He proved everyone wrong. I do believe, like Thibaut, without Kamavinga, we do suffer quite a lot, especially towards extra time.
You're right as well, and we were having this conversation about Kamavinga a few weeks ago, where he was erratic and he had this sort of tendency to make unwanted tackles in and around the box. I think we saw none of that. I think he trusts his slide tackle or his lunge and it's as good as anybody at this point in the world, because when he's lunging into a running player or even a stationary, a central midfielder who most people will know and trust to keep the ball safe. When Kamavinga goes in for the ball, he swoops in and he gets it. So I think we see a lot of that, and we see a lot of his combative nature when Ancelotti brings him on in such phases of game. I think as good as Chouameni is, and as good as his positioning and his ability on the ball was tonight, I think there came a point in the game where we needed an edge over Atleti, and although we didn't entirely end up getting that, now looking back, retrospectively, but that was the right time and the right place to bring Kamavinga on. I know I sort of criticized Ancelotti for his substitution of the whole Vinny and Rodrigo situation, but this was needed, all right. And Kamavinga, he stood up for himself, and like you said, there couldn't have been a more tough situation for him to show up. But like with Chouameni, he had a sort of downfall midway through the season, and then sort of fought for his place back in the team. But now with Ceballos out for the next, for the foreseeable future, I think Kamavinga is a good opportunity to buck up some minutes. And also, just before we move on, mentioning Courtois, Sid, I'd just like to mention the kind of mental fortitude this guy has, man. Because when we talk about a guy like Vinicius, we deem him as a big game player, but then he comes through for a game like Atleti, and then it gets to his head, something, the pressure gets to him on the penalty, and then he just can't perform after that. Even before that, his body language just isn't right. But even with Courtois, I think you've got to obviously his ability, but his mental, that side of his game is exceptional. Because every time he comes to Atleti, he has a whole away end behind him, booing him.
Who wants to kill him? Who wants to kill him? Who wants to kill him? That's the right way to put it.
He has it in his face. The other players can run away from it. This guy, he has to stay in his box. So I think the ability to put up with that time and again, and also all that's being spoken around him this past 3 or 4 days. I think the Belgium national team second choice goalkeeper retired because of Courtois. So there's a lot going
really
on.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't know that.
Yes, with Castiles. So
Castiles
there's a lot
is the
going
good
on
goalkeeper
around him as well, and I just like the big up Courtois, man. He doesn't get the recognition it deserves because of what he does at a consistent level.
Right. Wait. Did Simeone actually say that it was unfair that UEFA, chopped off Alvarez's pen? I mean,
I would imagine he did.
To be
I'm not sure, but
when
Simeone being Simeone would.
No, but I think also, I feel the fact that I think Julian Alvarez slipped.
Yeah.
So I think in that case, there is a retake that happens.
Mm.
So that used to be the rule, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Because during a game, it's not a retake, but during a penalty shootout, if you slip, I think it's a
Mm.
retake, a slip and double touch, if I'm not wrong. Or at least
Mm.
the rules changed after some incident that had happened in some random league. So maybe this is where like it but yeah, it looked. I had no clue what had happened in the stadium, man. The
It's
fans were
only
like,
from the it's only from the angle which is kind of the view from the stands. That angle basically showed the top spin on the ball that like he actually had like
And
in
even on
real
that, it's
time.
difficult to make out. It's
yeah,
difficult
yeah.
to say
I
that.
Yeah,
mean, and the fact that on the score, the screen board, it said, I think it was 2-2, and Real Madrid was supposed to take a penalty.
Right.
yeah.
And then it said Real Madrid 3-2 already. And
Mm.
everybody is wondering how could they score without taking a penalty? And then suddenly it becomes 3-1. And they are like,
Mm.
Yeah.
and then
Now this is black
everybody is
magic.
like, and they're like, okay, this is
Players.
why they came for.
So
Yeah,
wait.
guys,
I didn't get that. Oh, you're gonna go, Sid?
no, I'm keep walking because they're switching off the lights. So I'm just trying to like,
Right,
I have
right,
5 minutes anyways, 5-7 minutes. It's
right. Try to
13
stay
right
alive.
now.
Try to stay
Yeah, yeah.
alive. But the thing is, I was kind of confused, whether Marcus Llorente, he actually hit, the crossbar or not.
He
But
did.
actually, did Thibaut save it?
No, it was the crossbar.
It's a close
Was the
one.
crossbar, yeah? But
Oh,
Thibaut was mentioning, I trained with Marcos Llorente many times. I knew how he likes to shoot pens.
that
I
is
mean,
PR stuff.
He
PR
went the
stuff,
same
yeah.
direction,
Okay.
but like he didn't like he went the same direction,
Humans.
but it was
Same,
Let him
yeah,
let us
same.
know
Man,
also.
yeah. Man, it's like when I get Sidlow on the fan camp, right? The amount of lies I said in the group, it's that.
Right. Like you and
It's
Sid
a-
are best buddies.
yeah,
I mean, to an
yeah.
extent, it's true. But yeah,
Man.
some
He's
some of
here,
the
by
other
the way. You want guys
oh,
want to
is
see
he?
Sidlow?
Um,
Here, I don't know.
I can't make out. Anyways,
There's a
say hi to him from us.
there's a
But
camera behind. Can you see? There's somebody recording.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I can't. But yeah,
It's
big up Sidlow every time. Let's get into a
man.
few other comments quickly. Ashik was mentioning, hope the international breaks can help some of the players recover from the bruises. Um, Too bad it's not enough time for Ceballos to make his return. Alvarez's double was caught today, but Messi's wasn't in the World Cup final, apparently. They really should be
Yeah.
more consistent in checking. Um,
Oop.
right, big up DP, she was mentioning. Yes, thank God for that. Cry more Atleti. Um, you know, um, how does it go? Said Lloraron in Lisboa, Lloraron in Milan.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, it's like años van pasando y todo sigue igual. Lloraron en Lisboa. Basically, years go by and the feeling is the same. They lost in Lisbon and they
Crying.
lost in Milan. Then cried in
Crying.
Lisbon and they're still crying in Milan.
There you
So it's
go.
like
There you
divided
go.
into two paras. And the fans were chanting it loud when I was exiting
Yeah, we
because
could hear it.
yeah, and the away fans like so. Thing is, the station has three different metro exits. So to away fans, they take them to an exit which is like almost a kilometer away to
Mm,
avoid any kind of say problems, and they were surrounded by
yeah.
police.
Mm,
So this is why we couldn't find anyone for fan cams. Also, it's that's because the metro station is called the Metropolitano stop, so
mm,
designed for the stadium to people to leave in a scientific manner and reduce problems. Involvement freezing.
right. Right. Big up Karan, he was mentioning,
Okay,
had Vinny
I am
taken his pen,
guys.
gone.
I didn't see it, but my phone is on 1%.
Oh, yeah. No
Okay,
worries. No worries.
I'll leave. Literally, it's 1%. I could have just
But
gone.
yeah, much love, bro. Get home safe. Speak to you soon.
Okay, I'll see you guys. I'm so sorry.
Good
Have a
night,
good
bro.
night. Have a good night. Have a good night.
Sorry.
So, yeah, Karan was mentioning, had Vinny taken his pen, the game would be over by full time. I mean, bang on, right? I mean, when he missed, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is probably the end of the road. We are going out in this fashion. I mean, Atleti would have, stories to tell their grandkids. Vinny, this, antagonist who basically mocked us for years. He comes to our stadium, he comes to our backyard and does that. I mean, yeah, man, Vinny got saved. I'm telling you, big time. Um, right. Karan was mentioning even Vinny doesn't track back if he loses due to his gimmick. Oh, is he referring to his, step overs and whatnot? Probably. Archie was mentioning Mbappe actually tracked back, made a fantastic tackle today. I was surprised to see that from him. It showed how much he wants to win. Scott says, big up Ala Madrid, pick up yourself. Karan was also mentioning Jude was making up for Rainey's mistakes. Big up Rajat. Um, Atleti, Ashi was mentioning Atleti had a plan and stuck with it, but we didn't do much to force anything out of them. Farouk has a point. We didn't threaten them. In fact, most threats came from Atleti, especially in the first half. Yeah, the transitions, that Atleti had, I couldn't watch. I was watching through my fingers. I'll be very honest, because it was hard to predict what's going to happen. Because I knew always that we have a mistake in us. It just takes one good play, a couple of good passes, and they're right through. But yeah, Sensio, the likes of Mendy, until he kind of had a couple of wobbles. To a large extent, Fede came in clutch. Ashik was mentioning the only players from this group who are on their way to legendary status of Cristiano Benzema, Di Stefano Puskas, Hento, and Fede and Jude. You have to fight for every loose ball the Real Madrid way. Madrid TV was mentioning Vinny should never be a first choice pen taker. Do you agree, guys? Is that harsh?
Who's going to be the pen taker then? Lucas Vasquez?
I was surprised he missed.
Yeah. No, but his body language
armband.
There's a reason why I brought the name Lucas Vasquez, because why Lucas Vasquez is the most, at least you would say, eyes in his vein kind of player, right? Because he never misses penalties when it matters the most. But he missed.
The armband, bro. I am telling you, the armband makes a difference. It is enormous pressure.
The point is, like, because someone means a pen, you can't just take the pen off of him. Like, I mean, it's just one miss. It's not like a consistent miss.
Exactly.
Like when he misses like 3-4 pens, then you can start to have a discussion. But like, it's just one miss. Of course, we can understand that, the pressure. But I believe definitely, like, for a player like Vinicius Junior, I do not think the pressure got to him, because we've seen at the very, highest moment he's stepped up. I just feel like, he wanted to, make a perfect kick, and just he went too much into it, and it went over. But I don't think they should be. Yeah. And so, like, we have like a perfect penalty taker as well. I mean, maybe Rodrigo might have a shout, but based on the substitution we saw,
even Rodrigo has missed.
Rodrigo has missed before for Brazil.
Even for us, he has missed. I think
it's between Rodrigo and Jude for me, but
Jude missed recently, so
I know, but still,
when you look at those players, Kylian Mbappe is the only one who actually has a history of taking penalties. I think Jude has taken a total of 9 penalties in his whole career. I think how many has Vinicius taken for us? Like, Mbappe is the only one who has actually experienced in taking penalty. All these guys, it's just it's new territory for all of them.
Right. Madrid he was mentioning Kamavinga class when he came on 100%. Ashi was mentioning Vinny is super talented, no doubt, but he is still a Russian roulette. When the going gets tough, we need to worry about Vinny finishing the game. Vinny finishing the game without a caution or a red. He was a bit petulant, but not at the extent that we see in a La Liga game where the stakes are a bit more casual.
Yellow, which means that he gets a yellow in London. He misses the game at the Bernabeu.
So, who else is gonna miss? I heard someone else is gonna miss as well. No,
he's not starting the first game. Chouameni is out for the first game. Chouameni is out for the first game.
So it's just Chouameni and Vinny?
No, Vinny is still in. Vinny is gonna play there. So like, we have players when you look at like Jude Bellingham, Luka Modric, Kamavinga.
Doesn't it get chopped off? They say it gets chopped off after every
round. But it never does,
No, after the quarterfinals, it gets chopped off. In the semi-final, everyone goes with a clean slate.
What the fuck, man? Oh my god. Anyways, UEFA, I mean, fix your shit up. Raja was mentioning Mbappe was quite good. No Pentek is going to be Vinny, Bellingham, or Mbappe. Right, Sagnik, pick up yourself. He was mentioning divine intervention saved us. 100%. Yeah, we require divine interventions. I do think Carlos, someone said, man, like it just happens. But yeah, I did look towards the heavens, man. I can't lie. The amount of times I was like, please, just let us through. It was almost out of desperation. We shouldn't be in this predicament because like Farooq Bimon said, every week almost we have such quality in our ranks that we seldom see work out well. Big up Stan. He was mentioning Kamavinga's substitution was very crucial. His ball went in was important. Yeah, it reminded me of the City tie, at home 3 years ago. The game that, with which Kamavinga made his name. It reminded me. There were shades of that performance. I do think this was a much better performance, although the stakes were higher against City. This performance, he had to basically anchor the midfield. The amount of times that he put in a crucial tackle that basically saved a goal-threatening transition. It was above 10. I'll guarantee you that. Big up Abhishek. He was mentioning your opinion on Mendy today. Vinny has been playing horrendous. Mendy, yeah, not at his best. Not gonna lie, I'm his biggest fan, but yeah, he was pointed towards the turf. I don't know, the grass kind of made him get stuck up for a second. I don't know. Yeah, he was lacking a bit of confidence tonight for sure. But yeah, we are not getting through.
Giuliano Simeone was running circles around him at one point.
Yeah. But yeah, man, Mendy, there is a certain guarantee in the Champions League. When it comes to the big games, I know it wasn't his best, but yeah, there is a reason why he is, our go-to left back. I hope he bounces back because we know he can do it. Random guy was mentioning sack Carlo ASAP. There we go. Enough of this disgusting BS for 8 months.
Oh, after the win, that's rather difficult.
Yeah. Inshallah, we get to the Champions League final and then we then we win it and then we speak, right? Until then, we have to back him. I back him either way. I do think he is the only guy that would guarantee trophies, even in a season that doesn't really pan out with injuries, with suspensions, with the team setup. It's only one man who can basically keep this side afloat. A random guy was mentioning the team has forgotten about basic football under Carlos' management. Too awful. One or two players are bad. We can point out and criticize, but the entire squad is playing awful for 8 months. Then it's the coaching. Then the blame falls on the coaching staff. Right.
Before you go on, Swain. So this is something actually I've thought about. Like I don't know if I forgot the person who got it. Well, actually, it's a very nice point. Vinicius.
You have said the same point over the last 4 years.
The point is like Vinicius and Rodrigo has actually blossomed while playing under Carlo Ancelotti. Jude Bellingham also has gone to a different level while playing under Carlo Ancelotti. Now the question now becomes this: if you bring a coach into this team, think about when Mourinho came after he succeeded Pellegrini. It's going to be very, very difficult unless you're Zinedine Zidane to actually get this players to do what you want. Because they will point to the fact that under Carlo, we had to do absolutely zero to won 2 Champions Leagues. So the hell are you to tell us shit? So a coach like Xabi Alonso would have a difficult time coming to this guy and tell. Although
Xabi Alonso will be respected a bit because he's a former player.
Alonso is a player, not a coach. As a coach, Alonso doesn't want that shit.
That's true.
I mean, the point I'm trying to do, like, unless a Zidane is going to come to these guys, you understand? I think even a coach like Conte would be like, bro, you haven't won.
Conte is never going to work. No.
So this is the thing, this now begs the question now, like, with the way these players have been brought up, what kind of coaching, personality would take them, would be able to work with them if you're different from what Carlo Ancelotti is. Carlo Ancelotti is a player's coach. If you're having a different coach, a Jurgen Klopp, a Pep, a Mourinho, those kind of coaches, like how would they deal with this guy? Because these guys have literally won everything.
Yeah. It's a fair point. I think from the club's perspective, I think this is also very much in their planning as well. They look at the dressing room. They look at how much it's in harmony. Man, it's a hard knock. When someone fresh who doesn't have maybe the pedigree that Carlo has steps in. I think even Sahil has mentioned this before. what Carlo does in that regard is difficult for anyone else to back up. Right, Ashik was mentioning Thibaut isn't one of the highest paid players in our club. Shocking considering he's our insurance policy. He's heavily underpaid. Also, I would like to point out this stat I saw. Both of our academy, former academy players. Juan Fran in 2014 and now Llorente in 2025. 11 years apart, both missing pens in a critical shootout. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, all this points to only one thing, that there is something intangible always guiding us under Carlo. Because even Zidane's black magic wasn't this strong. It just is something different. But yeah, Danielson, big up Danielson. He was mentioning, big up the panel. You're good, 100%. I mean, after this win, it should be good. We should be good. Although the performance, yeah, I'm a bit happier than how we played against City last year. I was a lot more agitated then. I was obviously dying on both occasions, but I was a lot more. There was a lot more pent up anger last year in Manchester. But yeah, big up Dr. Ark. He was mentioning Carlo had nothing on the table every time player steps up. That's it. I mean, there should be. I mean, if someone puts a gun to your head, Dr. Ark, right? You could parrot this out, but they would ask you why. I mean, this is a question that your life depends on, right? A gun is pointed to your head, and they would ask you, why do you say that? Why do you think the players step up every time? There should be a reason. It just isn't happenstance. If a player stepped up every time, Bellingham should have single-handedly won England the World Cup, the Euros, I don't know, anything. Vinicius should be boss in Copa America, should be absolutely manhandling every team bar Argentina. You could say the same about every single one of our players. It's not just the crest and the badge and Madrid's magic, blah blah blah. Carlo should be doing something right.
But this also predates Carlo, and it will be long after Carlo's gone as well.
I really doubt we will have the amount of resounding success consistently under any other coach. Bar Zidane, of course.
No, it's not about the amount of success. About the point that individual players step up. This is the point. Real Madrid has always been a platform for players, to move to a different level. Every single player you can think of, that's just the thing. I do think, yeah, maybe Carlo is doing something right or wrong.
But I don't think Vinicius goes to another side and does what he does with us. No. If he'll become a system winger, and then he would slowly start the transition from Vinicius Junior into Gabriel Martinelli, of the now. So that's my personal thinking. These guys need, the freedom to thrive, to succeed. Shackling them into a system, it remains to be seen how much can they really.
I mean, the point is that's the only thing we've seen. We haven't seen the alternative, right? So until we see the alternative, we cannot make a comment.
Sahil has been awfully quiet. I'm pretty sure he's cursing me, because he isn't a fan of what he's watching these days. But
no cursing.
Okay, bro, it's okay. When we win the Champions League, inshallah, you'll be much happy.
Yeah, I do.
Inshallah. There's a long way to go. Touch wood.
Also, it was not just two. All three players who missed penalties tonight were academy graduates.
Oh yeah, Vasquez as well.
100%.
Daniel was mentioning, hypothetically speaking, Atleti needs to take a bow. We aren't their mates, and they should stop thinking we are on the same level. The truth of the matter is that we aren't. Rodrigo is actually our best pen taker in the team. Dr. Ark was mentioning Mbappe took penalties in the World Cup where there's the most pressure, and giving pens to Vinny is not a good choice, right? Having said that, Danielson also adds, anyone can miss a pen, 100%. We have seen Cristiano miss pens, but with Cristiano, there is a different sort of
surety.
Yeah. Ashik was mentioning it doesn't matter who takes the pen, but in the shootout, Ramadan, Rudiger seems to have divine support. I mean, today's shot must have been some divine intervention. How did they go in? I was like, holy shit, Oblak actually got a hand to it. I was also pissed that, Thibaut is kind of, tame in shootouts. He gets there, but he can't quite really, because if he if he actually gets two palms to the ball, I'm not a a goalkeeping coach or haven't kept at the top level, but I would just use my common sense and think at that point, if he actually palms it with both hands, it's going away. It's going wide of the post. But yeah, very unfortunate.
I
Very
mean, if it
unfortunate.
was that easy to react, then even somebody like
Oh yeah,
Lemon would have,
oh
that
yeah,
would have been a
100%.
penalty.
The reaction time
Of
was,
course.
and that's the thing. Like Oblak is one of the top goalkeepers in the world. So like it's
Yeah.
not going to be at all.
Oblak in pens. People who are old
Not,
enough would know.
not the greatest, true. And even like the greatest penalty goalkeepers, in the world aren't often the greatest goalkeepers in
Who
the
was
world.
the Dutch guy, Farouk Dutch guy, who gets substituted every time? It wasn't Stecklenburg. It was who was it?
Krul?
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
Krul. Tim Krul.
Krul, yeah. It was Krul, yeah.
Yeah. So
Cool.
in today's
Also, like,
time, yeah, you think of
also like
Emi Martinez.
I think Romero also was for Argentina as well. Romero was also like the former United goalkeeper, was also like a penalty specialist.
Emi Martinez is good. Remember the guy they took off for Kepa when Kepa refused to come off?
Willy Caballero. Yeah.
Caballero. Yeah.
Oh,
It's those guys, man. I think even Lunan has that something in them in shootouts, but we've only seen a small sample size. But so obviously,
I would back Lunan to save pens.
Yeah,
To be
exactly.
very honest.
We will back Lunin over Thibaut Courtois when it comes to pens, actually.
Pens. Only pens. I mean, pens are but
separate.
Carlo,
Yeah,
why would
it's
Carlo
separate
do that?
category, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, Carlo will never do that, but I mean,
we are sofa managers, couch managers. We can say what we want, but yeah, like it would completely disrupt the hierarchy in the dressing room if he does that. But yeah, Sid was mentioning Fede moving into midfield made it more comfortable. His engine really helped, definitely in the middle. Right. Both Juanfran also hit the post and so did Llorente, but when Juanfran missed, Zidane was the coach, not Carlo. What? When Juanfran missed, it was Carlo, bro. Ashik.
No. It was
Zidane. It was Zidane. That was during the 3-peat.
It was Zidane. My bad.
Final in Milan.
My bad.
Final in Milan.
I'm completely drunk, because usually I take a breather. Watching the game, I was walking, I was pacing all throughout the. I get it. It was in Milan. Zidane was the coach. I remember. Dr. Ak was mentioning, I'm asking, we have Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham, and our only way of attack is to counterattack against average opposition, and nothing against low blocks. Yeah, I mean, let's be very honest. Yeah, apart from probably the most dominant sides in possession, like your City, like the Leipzig, not Leipzig, like the Leverkusen we had last year, against low blocks, every top side struggles to a certain extent. I mean, Liverpool were basically, they had to rely on pens. I believe, Salah scored a couple of pens. I'm not sure. I may be wrong, but they struggled against Southampton, who are like bottom of the Premier League with like 9 points or something.
Yeah,
this happens all the time. I mean, Carlo, struggles extensively, and it's an eyesore to sit through. But this isn't, newfound information. We struggle.
And I think that's something that Atleti would have emphasized on and analyzed with video footage after the first leg, because there were phases in that first leg where we were clearly the better side, but that was only because Atleti had more possession than what they were comfortable having.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's one thing they would have taken away from the first leg.
Farouk is quiet, so I would, sense that he agrees to whatever we said.
We are just circling back around the same thing, because the point is this,
we don't need to comment.
For me personally,
it's okay.
The issue I have is this: literally every other week we have this discussion. After 3 games, let's just say, literally every 4 games we have this discussion.
Yeah.
You talked about Liverpool against Southampton. This is once process of whole season. Liverpool had this problem twice this season. Nottingham Forest, they lost that game, and then of course
1-0,
something. Okay, against Everton can be as well, maybe more or less. That's like 3 or 4 games, off the top of my head. I'm thinking in a season that they've played almost 40 games. For Real Madrid, it's literally every other 3 games. And
Mm-hmm.
Liverpool are playing with Salah. When you take away Salah, bro, the attack is, I don't know, man. Like it's yeah, the attack is just nothing to write home about. You understand? But we have the full of the top 10 players in the world in our attack, and every other week we are having this. This is exactly, you know, what Dr. Ark is saying is what I'm also saying. If we have these players, bro, we should not be suffering this much. I can understand Atletico Madrid is the kryptonite, but the problem is that if it's a one-time thing, it's fine. But Atletico Madrid, it's Rayo Vallecano, it's Espanyol, it's Mallorca. Like it's the same story all over. It's Bilbao, you know. It's the same story continuously.
Even under Zidane, I mean, bar, you know, the 2019, not so much. Yeah, 2020, 2021 season.
Zidane's
the same. We rely on the cross and inshallah.
Was different, bro. Zidane's first era, I agree with you, there was no consistency in the league unless for the this period between 2016 and 2018. There was this 18-month period where we're absolutely phenomenal. But when it came to Europe, bro, we were dismantling teams, smashing teams. When was the last time we smashed a team in Europe?
Liverpool.
5-2.
5-2. Yeah.
Once in 4 years. Guys, are you forgetting Carlos' first team, man? Like Carlos' first team, I think we scored 7 against Schalke, 9 on aggregate. We went to the Allianz, we scored 4. You know, like we had games that, bro, you could, you know, see things and you know you could feel things. So that's why, you know, when people are like, oh, well, this is Real Madrid.
The midfield was much better. Attackers were much more direct. You know, had a much better ceiling.
I agree with you, but the quality of the oppositions also have dropped. It's Pedri, not Iniesta, in the middle of the park anymore. It's Gravenberch, not Steven Gerrard anymore as well.
Steven Gerrard didn't play with Zidane, but I get your point.
And so this is the thing. The quality of the game has dropped. I agree with that. Yeah, but yeah, this is just the thing.
Let me ask you this. Okay, this is what I was thinking every time we had a corner. You know, every time we had a corner, I was praying, "Ya Allah, please stop the transition," because we are doing nothing from a corner. Like, how fucking concerning is this? Because we will be looking towards set pieces in games like these. I mean, if we had a Ramos, this tie would be settled long ago. You know, like long before it eventually got settled. You know, on pens, Ramos would find a decisive header, or Cristiano would, you know, chip in with one, or you know, Varane. You know, you name it. But with this side, Mbappe can't, you know, get a header to save his life. It's just Rudiger, Jude Bellingham. That's it. Jude Bellingham also, from corners, I've never seen him.
Not really, He can take away a man or two, but apart from that, we don't really have the kind of aerial ability to challenge in offensive.
It's basically Atleti saying, like, get ready to counter. That's the body language.
Yeah, true. And I wish someone like Raul Asensio would work on his aerial ability, but that's obviously going to take some time in the future. But yeah.
Bro, do you know who we are playing next? The masters of set pieces.
My goodness. Whip one into Gabriel, whip one into Saliba. Holy shit. Yeah. Not ready for
it's quite interesting, you know, you just said that now. I remember, you know, when we used to have set pieces, like it was almost like having a penalty, man.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, bro, the 2016-17 Ramos.
Everyone, but like, you know, like we were almost getting on the end of everything. Of course,
every other week, it used to be Ramos.
Exactly. You know, if it's not Ramos, it's Benzema. If it's not Benzema, it's Cristiano. Even Casemiro was scoring. Even Varane was scoring.
Bale, underrated.
In the end, you know. So it's crazy, you know, like the amount of stuff we had. Now they're just fine. Rodrigo gives
even the guys who consistently scored headers, apart from, you know, the obvious lanky boys, Marcelo and Jude Bellingham, last year was the players from the Esta era. Carvajal, Vasquez. Yeah. If you remember Vasquez's header against, who was it? Alaves, 90th minute last year, corner.
Did Vasquez against Barcelona as well, a header or no? Or was it a header? I remember he scored and he got a penalty against Barcelona at the game with the 3-1.
Yeah, but it wasn't a header. I don't think so. My memory is shit. You can double check that.
It was on a counter.
On a counter, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, should be. Ashik was mentioning Arteta is basically mini Guardiola without limitless funds. Arsenal, I'm telling you, Arsenal should be a foregone conclusion. This isn't me being cocky. This isn't me being, I'm a very grounded guy when it comes to my team. Even if I want to really be, super, cocky and, basically, like say outlandish shit, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I truly wouldn't. But with Arsenal, I do believe we have enough in our tank. Even with Carlos, Carlo Ban, Taliban and all that, we should be having enough weapons to dismantle Arsenal. And with second leg at home, man, we should be seeing this through.
There are some teams that have like European pedigree, but aren't doing so well in their league recently. But we're still sort of wary of what they can do because they have pedigree in Europe and they can show up anytime. Like Milan when we played them, right?
Yeah.
Arsenal are the complete opposite. Regardless of how well they do in the Premier League or FA Cup or whatever, you're not going to be afraid of them because they're basically babies in Europe now.
So many people, so many of our friends, Turkish was mentioning, bring on Real Madrid. I mean, Turkish is like
fans.
us.
I respect Arsenal as
Turkish
a team.
Don't say anything about Turkish because he's like us. That's why I respect
Okay,
him.
but
He is
still.
a very composed, level-headed guy. He just was mentioning on his post-match video, I think, a couple of days ago. He was mentioning, bring on Madrid.
You asked for Madrid. You asked for Madrid. You got Madrid. Now
Yeah. I just texted him. We waited for this for so long. This is finally here. We hope we can link up before the game. But yeah, they do as a fan base believe it was in their best interest to face us compared to what we saw Atleti do to us, a low block that is impenetrable. Farooq, your takes on that? Like how is our tie against Arsenal gonna be for them, especially considering they wanted us from the get-go.
I mean,
they wanted us last year also.
I also wanted Arsenal because like it's a tie that we haven't played in a long while. Actually, it's a tie that I haven't watched with my. I remember like Henry scored against Real Madrid, but I was very young then. I wasn't actually even watching football that much back then. But
I was 10.
This is a tie.
You would have been 7 or something.
Exactly,
right?
more or less. So this is the tie that I would really want to look forward to. And the point is, Arsenal 15 points behind in the league. More or less, this is the only thing they can fight for. You understand? But they don't have a striker. We don't know if Saka is going to be back before then or not. The form of Martinelli is hot and cold. The team is just a lot.
Is Saka gonna be back?
Yeah,
or is he back?
Back in April, but the game is going to be the first leg is going to be in the first week of April. I think the second leg is going to be in April. So like most likely when by second leg, most likely Saka should be back. But again, in all honesty, I just feel like like we should have too much for Arsenal. In all honesty, but again, the thing about Arsenal is that like this season they have developed a different side to them. That physicality that they put up a fight. You understand, and they have like a very strong edge to them. And this is one thing we've seen with our players, especially Vinicius Junior, is that when defenders have an edge, when defenders have a kind of extra, they add extra spice to the game. It kind of becomes really difficult for him to play. It's not every day that he faces a defender like Kyle Walker. When they go just the best player wins. It's not just about the dark arts or stuff like that. But Arsenal as a whole, I feel confident going into the game against Arsenal, but I do still think like the point is you never just can gauge exactly what you're gonna expect from this Real Madrid team. So I do feel like it might be a really tight game, but I do still see us going through.
We have to navigate Emirates very safely. I mean, we have to make sure the deficit is just 1. I'm not going to even say it. Yeah, I'm not going to even say it. The deficit should be nil, in my opinion. Emirates is going to be up for it. They have some atmosphere after all those years. I've seen the fans raving about it, especially last year and this year. They'll be up for it. This is, like Farooq said, their only, salvation, considering what they have hopes for the season. But also I agree with Farooq, when he mentions that the sort of slightly sly coy defenders, the likes of Saliba, the likes of Gabriel is going to be a huge test for Vinicius, who is Gabriel's teammate, and also for Mbappe, who is Saliba's teammate. They're going to be a few mouth-watering clashes for sure. But yeah, man, I do think our midfield should be all over them. I mean, Declan Rice is having a great season, but yeah, we should be absolutely taking them apart. But then again, like what Farooq said again, what we get with Madrid is often not quite what we kind of expect. And the fact that they have a few options like Trossard, who can provide the unexpected. It makes up for a pretty interesting matchup because we haven't really had the opportunity to actually play them. But Ashi was mentioning Farouk Carlos' first stint at Real had some guy named Cristiano Benzbale, Alonso, Modric, Di Maria. If we didn't win by a high margin in some games, then as a club we should have folded. The goals that we scored then, it used to be in it used to be like in doubles and triples. Basically, I mean, final was a a normality. Dr. Rock was mentioning, bro, we associate set pieces and corners. Rafinha came and scored a header between Rudiger and Germany. Holy shit! Yeah, don't even go there. It's a horrible flashback. We lose every header in a box or the opposition box. I felt the same when Atleti started penning balls in from corners. I was very worried, but we managed to handle it somehow. If you remember, Rudiger, I think he was facing the other way, and he just flicks his left boot up to actually save it clear. It required some very individualistic last ditch hero ball, like what Farouk usually likes to call it. But we got the job done. That's the only thing that matters. Quickly, Sahil, final thoughts.
We always knew that Atleti, first leg, second leg, both of them were never going to be, passed without blemishes. In the end, it was less satisfying than we would like, but we got through. And I think at this point in the season, that's all that matters. Obviously, we're looking forward to Arsenal, but Atleti, let's just not over simplify how difficult of an opposition this was, right? We know how difficult Atleti is and what challenges they can, come up with. They built up their atmosphere. They had what Koke around the team. They asked the ball boys to throw the balls in, all of that stuff, right? So all of that went into the tie. Let's not underestimate how much of a big opposition this was. But yeah, let's look forward to the league again now, and hopefully we can get this form going through domestically as well.
100%. Ashik was basically, even in the watch on, he was mentioning, Sel Chouameni, he was horrible. He wasn't tracking back. He was jogging. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of, basically, I'm basically accepting my fate when, Chouameni is backtracking in a transition. He's going to jog. Like the amount of times I've seen Chouameni, break his lung to actually get to, an opposition attacker to save a counter-attack is very minimal. I mean, I don't know if Farooq
not a player who's going to give you that, Sunil. That's why I mentioned earlier, when the time came when Ancelotti felt a need for that in the game, for that dynamic, that's when he brought on Camavinga.
Also, he was on a yellow as well. So, a valid point. But yeah, bro, Farooq, final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, just it's a game that we went through. Just forget about the whole game. Just let's look forward to the game at the weekend. The international break to get some chance. To take some rest. Recalibrate and let's get to the business end of the season more or less. Like hopefully with a much more better performance and a step up from the key players.
100%. The league isn't done and dusted yet. Atleti are playing Barcelona, I think, this weekend. So everything is up for grabs. I mean, at this point in the season, the way we started, bro, I'm thanking the heavens. I'm thanking every god out there. I'm thanking Carlo. I'm thanking the board. I'm thanking everyone at this point. I mean, most of them fucked up. They should be held culpable for, how shit we have been, at least on the eye test this season. But the fact that we are almost alive in every single competition just gives me, a renewed hope. It is a drug. Hope is a drug that I can't actually turn down when it comes to my club. Big up everyone in the chat. Big up people tuning in as well. Always, I would like to extend our, immense love and support for the people tuning in later on our audio platforms. Spotify, the Apple Podcasts, and whatnot. We have been doing this for 3.5, 4 years now. You guys have been our backbone. Thank you for always sending us negative, positive feedback. And thank you for actually keeping this a civil football conversation, making this a two-way street. That's why we love doing what we do. But yeah, man, don't forget to smash the likes. It really helps us with the algorithm and whatnot. Fan cams will be up and running shortly. Try to get a few out there, outside the Metropolitano. But yeah, he had to prioritize his life, a bit tonight. Especially considering, how much of a how much stakes we're riding on, this Champions League knockout tie. But yeah, man, big up everyone again. Dr. Ark was mentioning, I was pissing off on Mbappe regarding his runs in the box. You remember on the 90-minute mark, Valverde gave a pass to Bellingham, Bellingham made a run, but Mbappe stayed inside. Yeah, Mbappe is quite hesitant to, break the line. I would think if I was blessed with his pace, he would be a lot more, on the move, a lot more playing on the shoulder of his centre back. But yeah, I think that would grow in with time. If we watch Mbappe consistently, we would know that he's not playing with 100% confidence. It's not there yet. I mean, we see flashes like we saw when he, basically won us the pen. I mean, what a insane, set of, couple of actions, he managed to pull off. Until then, he was sleeping. But boom, there you go. That was Mbappe at his best. But when would we see, that consistently? I'm not so sure. Probably next season. It really would take a bit more time. Random guy was mentioning we won the Champions League with a 35-year-old striker, then won without a striker now. I mean, nah, I wouldn't read the rest of it. Random guy, you need to sleep. Yeah. If we go through, inshallah, if we survive against Arsenal, it's PSG, the most informed side in Europe that awaits us. If they actually do the job against Aston Villa, I know Unai Emery tax, good evening tax, but I do think PSG eventually go through. It ain't gone, sir.
No. I just when you mentioned Aston, so PSG are playing Aston Villa.
Yeah. Am I right, Farouk? They are playing Aston Villa, right? Farouk is doing something else.
No, that's fine. Yeah. When you first mentioned PSG, I thought, okay, we might play Asensio, and then I remembered that Asensio is at Villa now, so he's going to play PSG actually.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's funny, but yeah. Also, and if we make it to the final, who awaits, right? Yeah.
So, I don't think Inter eliminates Barcelona though. That's the thing. I definitely do think Inter against Barcelona, Inter kicks the shit out of those. I mean, bro, I don't know.
Inzaghi is very disciplined. I know that, but
the two teams I've always feared were Atletico Madrid and Inter Milan. Honestly, like those are the two teams I feared in the draws. I don't know, man. I just feel like Inter are operating like not on the best level, but on the most difficult level, like a team that you absolutely do not want to play against because they don't allow you to play football.
So are they anti-football, Farouk? Would you call them that? Because I don't watch them much. I don't watch Serie A much at all. These
like football, but rather they have this way of like suffocating your life. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
they have this thing.
It's crazy, man. And when you look at it, like like it's a team, it's a collective more than an individual. Like it's just a
Farouk is
team. It's a well-oiled team. Like it's a team that you look and you feel like, okay, like you can hear me?
Yeah, you broke off for a bit, but yeah, we can now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's a team that's so well drilled that like it's a sum of their parts. You move one player, you put another, you don't even know that a different player, a player is out. The start of the season, now they put in Bisek, as a central back, and literally you don't even know that like they actually lost the defender. Now you're having Bastoni playing as
I did rate Bisek. He was a decent defender.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like they have those moving parts where like you easily can change players, in and out. You look at, you bring on Fatesi, you bring on what's he called, the player they got from Napoli for a free transfer. I forgot Zielinski. You bring on those guys. You play Taremi. Like you're like swapping players all around, and like there is no drop off. Like it's crazy what Inzaghi has done.
Credit to Inzaghi. I mean, if he makes Taremi looks good, I mean,
that's the thing. I think DiMarco as well still there. But I think in fact efficiency, it's very comparable to the level that Inter had reached under Conte during like lockdown periods. where Lukaku and Martinez were up front.
Yeah.
It was a different style, obviously, but yeah, it's very comparable in terms of efficiency and output.
Mm. Mhm. Are Bayern, are Barca actually playing Dortmund next in the next round?
Yep. Barcelona against
Oh,
Borussia Dortmund, Milan against Bayern Munich.
oh, Inter Bayern, repeat of the 2010 Champions League.
Interesting.
Right, right then. Yeah, pick up every single one of you in the chat. Hopefully, we do the job and get to where we want to be this season. A season that didn't, have much promise early on. It's slowly panning out like we hope, like we want. If Modric is to walk away, like I said about Cruz last year, I would love for him to go away with a double. That would be, the perfect walk off into the sunset that I could dream of. But yeah, boys, pick up our sponsors. LBI 20 to get 20% off at Manscaped. Go show some love to Fanatics as well. The affiliated link is in the description below. Biggest sports apparel collection probably online. They're official partners of La Liga and Madrid as well. Go show some love to Talksport as well. Everything on LBR, the watch-alongs, fan cams, post-matches, previews are powered by the Talksport Fan Network, powered by the fans. But until next time, people, Ala Madrid.
Ala Madrid.
Madrid.